welcome into the Chat Pack Podcast, a weekly podcast where we gather around and talk about this, that, and the other thing, available for your streaming pleasure at twitch.tv/chat_pack. I'm Paul Holden. I'm one of your hosts here. I am joined by my illustrious co-host as I'm sending a promotional Snapchat, which hopefully has audio to it, to people. But anyway, this is a great podcast where we can gather around and talk about this, that, and the other thing. Happy Father's Day to all the dads-to-be, father figures, moms that are dads or filling that dad role, or friends or whatever. Happy Father's Day to those that have fathers around. Happy Father's Day to those whose fathers may have passed. Happy Dad's Day, guys. What did you call your dads yet?
Oh, yeah. I called my mom, and my dad was nearby, and I said Happy Father's Day, and he said thank you. But also, did you just give a shout-out to moms on Father's Day?
Yeah, sometimes what if you're in a single mom household and your mom's filling both roles as both mom and dad?
That's fair. Okay.
Yeah. No?
She's both parents.
You got beef with
simultaneously. That? She gets
filling
Dad's
both
Day,
roles,
too.
Dude.
It's 2020, Caleb.
If you're single...
Does that mean that she has to do dad jokes? Is that...
Hopefully.
Yeah.
If she makes a joke, is it a dad joke?
Yeah. Maybe. Probably just a mom
What about
joke.
if dad's not really in the
joke.
picture, but he comes around sometimes, and then like she makes jokes, and sometimes you call him dad jokes, but then when he comes back around and she makes a joke, is that...
I think you're just looking too deep into the lore here of Father's Day. So anyway,
hairs.
Happy Father's Day out there. We're happy to be here on this Sunday afternoon podcast. My other two co-hosts, you've heard both of them talk. We got Trevor Heim, the man whose computer didn't turn on and has been fighting daily power outages, apparently. I don't know what the heck is going on in Utah, but Trevor, what's up, bud?
Dude, I don't know if it's just like my house specifically or my street or something with the power company out here, but yeah, every day the power goes out at some point. Every morning I wake up, it's become part of my morning routine to just set the clock on the stove because the clock is reset and it annoys me when it's blinking. So I'm getting real sick of the power outages. Figure it out, Utah.
Hopefully it doesn't happen in the middle of the show, but in case the stream just cuts off immediately, then we know what happened. Caleb is also joining us. Caleb Cole on the other side. Caleb, what's up, bud?
Yeah, I'm Caleb Cole. I think people kind of refer to me as the heart and soul of the podcast or the volume of the podcast.
Okay.
Just so everybody knows.
I'm intrigued by the setup you have of the mic with your pop filter on it. It's looks like it's a little askew from my angle, but who am I to say?
I've got it angled a little bit off center, so that way it kind of just like the wind blows the other way.
In the arms of an eagle. Speaking of celebrations, we also would like to give a belated Chat Pack birthday shout out to our one and only co-host Caleb Cole. Caleb, happy birthday again.
You were there. You made me birthday dinner.
I didn't make all of your birthday
It was a surprise.
dinner. Our buddy Andrew. So it was a surprise party, and me and our roommate Andrew, friend of the show, he did pizzas from scratch. He did the dough and a lot of them. I made the red sauce for the pies. In addition to that, we also made kebabs, grilled kebabs, chicken and vegetable kebabs.
Couple of kebabs.
Quick little salad. By salad,
I mean
I just threw spinach
and
with and feta and red onion. There's red onion in there, but then it all fell to the bottom.
I heard that there was red onion, but I didn't see any. I looked into the salad because somebody was like, "Oh yeah, there's salad." I looked in and I just saw a whole bowl of spinach, and then in one corner of the bowl, I saw like a little clump of feta, and that's all I saw. So the red onions, from my standpoint, that's hearsay. I haven't seen them.
Sounds like a decent
I can cook a lot of things. I can cook a lot of things. I like to cook, and I would say I'm pretty decent at it.
Salads. What
salads,
are you?
Not so much.
Trump's like speech advisor.
I can cook. I can cook.
I cook good things. I cook many things. I'm so good at cooking. They look at me. South Korea, Germany. They look at me. And they're like,
okay, hold on. I wasn't asking for you to do a whole impression. If I wanted to see that, I would watch Trevor on The Daily Show. He goes for one about every other scene.
You're not referring to me, right?
I haven't watched The Daily Show. No, Trevor, no.
Yeah, The Daily Show went downhill after Jon Stewart left. I'm not going to lie.
I really liked Last Week Tonight.
Oh,
Yeah,
amazing. John
yeah,
Oliver's
I agree.
hilarious. Also, John Oliver, I had never watched Community.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
he's
he's so good.
He's not like just in it every once in a while. Like he's a very regular character and he's hilarious.
Yeah. He's good.
Community is
He also
is a
Plays
great
a
show.
terrible person.
In
Most of
Community?
the people in Community are bad people.
It's the
well, not
classic,
most. No, I would actually.
They get
Some
better.
of the
Kale's
good ones
kind
are
of a
like
crappy
like
character.
Annie is like
Do they?
this sweet innocent girl. She's kind of bad a lot of the time.
Yeah.
If
think
you,
the only one
if
who
you
is somewhat
did
pure
you
is
watch
Oven.
Glow on Netflix? Did you watch?
I watched
Glow?
like the first couple episodes with you. She plays such a different role in that. Holy cow!
Yeah, she does. I liked that show. I didn't watch the most recent season. I might get back to that, but anyway, we got a couple of topics. We'll get into those here shortly. We got a
About
couple of good
45
ones, but-
minutes in.
Yeah. Just obviously for me, I got to say my piece. A lot of video game news happened this past week. EA Play Live came out, and the big stuff
New
that was
Skate.
announced, at least that's important. Yeah, new Skate, man. Skate 4 is a real thing. They are working. It's going to be it's a few years off, but new Skate, that's exciting stuff. I wasn't too into Skate, and then my roommates last year were playing a lot of Skate, and then my roommates currently like Skate, so I think I'm definitely going to get into it. It's fun. Skate's is a very, very fun game to play. I wish that Skate 2 was on the Xbox One, because that one has split screen co-op or local multiplayer, whereas Skate 3 does not. So, but alas, what can you do?
So, Paul-
other big news. What?
I was going to
Go
say
for it.
last week's, you might be getting to this, but last week's episode, you talked about how excited you were for a particular sequel game that was coming out. And it seems like the internet has
Yes.
not been super fond of that game so far.
I'll get to that. I'll get to that in one moment.
We'll
Because
get to
I
it.
am
We'll get
curious.
to it.
I want to get to what you guys think about part of that. But big news also, I guess, at least for in terms of me, Apex Legends is getting cross-platform play, which will be really dope, because that means Caleb and I can play and stream some stuff really easily, which will be
Oh
cool
man, I'm
for
gonna
us.
have to drag Paul through those ranked matches.
Dude, I honestly, if I streamed some Apex before the show today. I
Isn't it
played
coming
for
to
I
about
think that
45
the level
Mm-hmm.
of competition is going to change drastically for you though, because once you go up against people who have keyboards and mouses, it's going to be they just have an objective advantage. So
Yeah,
it might
definitely.
be
I'm ready for that.
Yeah. I mean, you're better at it than I am with the controller. Like you're good I think you're good on the console, but I have no idea.
Well,
how
and
you're
what I
gonna
like
match up
about
against
Apex is
somebody.
it's a lot of the team. You know, if we're communicating, we're playing. You know, I might have the disadvantage of
Paul's like,
being on
I'll
the
get
console,
downed
but
and you'll take care of me.
yeah, exactly. You. If I ever told you
I
that
do
you're
have
my
a mouse.
hero.
My new mouse has weights in it, and it's like got like removable like 4-ounce weights that you can shift around in the back of the mouse. It's pretty high tech.
Yeah, no, so that's exciting. No, I'll be there, because I mean, we might as well. I think I'll be ready, because I got the eye, Caleb, the eye of the tiger. What else? What other video game stuff came out of EA Play that I saw? Hey, the new Madden. See that? Coming out with the new Madden game, and a
Nah.
FIFA game, and
Oh, that's cool.
NHL game,
Okay,
and
that's the coolest.
Is there a 2K?
but no.
Progress that you said that in the order that like from least to most excited I am about those games. Madden, don't care at all. FIFA, pretty fun. NHL, the best sports game in my opinion.
I think FIFA is still my favorite out of the like real sports games, because let's be honest, when Caleb comes over and plays some Mario sports games, it doesn't really go well for him.
In Mario Golf, we're dead even. I've won twice, and I think you've only won once, and Jeff won once, and I've won twice. What are you talking about?
You know, I got to give you a little, I got to make you feel good a little bit, because I've currently outscored Caleb in our Mario baseball games in a resounding 12-1 over 3 games. I've
I
had
had
double-digit
3 runs
hits.
Last night.
You only
I
scored
had a
once.
home run, and I had 2 runs. I had
Oh,
2
you
run-ins,
did.
and I had a home run.
Toad hit a home run. That's right, and Toadsworth scored.
Toad
so
hit
my
a
apologies.
dinger.
He did
Right
hit a
side.
dinger. Big monster dong. We're gonna start recording those this week to get some stuff up there
Toad
for
and his
people to check
monster
out.
dong. I think that not to be confused that Toad is a monster dong, because he does have with Bradley.
He has a
what's his
monster
name?
condom for his Magnum dong.
The mushroom tip, you know? He looks like the mushroom tip, to be honest.
I
He is a
technically
mushroom.
He does have a mushroom on his head. So
That's what I'm saying. He looks like a big dong.
see, no, but it's a hat
Let's
though,
see it.
Trevor. I think.
Is
I
it
don't
a
think
hat?
it's
No, he
growth.
can't take
I
that
thought
off.
I thought it's connected to his head.
I don't think he could take
don't
it
know.
off.
I
I
feel
think
like
if he took
that's-
it off, there'd be like wires and stuff underneath.
All right. I'm
Wires.
finding it. I'm finding
Be
it.
like Darth Vader.
Um,
connected to
Toad,
him.
take off the
So Toad is actually
mushroom.
Lord Helmet.
Lord helmet.
Yeah. Okay, well that's none of this is helpful. Is Toad in Mario wearing a hat?
It makes me think of the pickle guy in SpongeBob when he's like, "That wasn't a hat." They ripped off that little yellow thing on his head.
Just type in Toad space and space mushroom tip.
Don't
I don't think I'm
Google
gonna
that. Don't Google that.
do that. I'm not gonna do. Don't you guys might not.
Rule
wanna Google that.
34 would
Um,
point to some weird answers.
According to Wikipedia here, the most prominent trait of a toad is its large head that resembles a mushroom in shape and color. Historically speculated as them wearing a mushroom hat, but eventually ruled out by Japanese video game designer Yoshiaki Kazumi. Another common point of most toads is their traditional vest. So no, that is their head. It is a full blown piece of their head. Anyway,
Confirmed.
there's other. I know what else I wanted to talk
You heard
about.
it
for
first
video
here
game
on the
stuff.
Chat Pack podcast.
Before we get to that other part of video game stuff, new Pokemon Snap. That's gonna be really cool. Coming to Switch.
It seems like
That's
people
gonna
are hype about that. I had never heard of Pokemon Snap until I heard that they were rebooting it.
What?
And I thought
No,
it was like a
that's
phone
not true.
game.
We played
Yeah,
it like
never
at
heard of it.
Montrose.
You never played
I never
Pokemon
played
Snap?
it.
You know where you go on the rails and you take the pictures of the Pokemon? Oh my god, it's such
Never
a cool,
once.
different like Pokemon thing, and you do like you can like throw
sounds-
different like fruit and like different like things to interact with the Pokemon and the environments to do like secret things. I mean, it's a
See,
really
I'm sure
really
that
cool
it's,
game.
It's fun, but like from everybody has tried to describe it to me that I've told this to, and every single time they've described it, I'm still just like, so I'm taking pictures of Pokemon, and they're like, yeah, it's awesome. It sounds so boring. I'm sure
you're
it's
dumb.
fun. I'm sure that like there's just people aren't doing it justice, but like
I
throwing
mean,
fruit at
but
Pokemon so
that's
that
it.
they eat it.
I mean-
and you just take pictures.
I mean, they're nailing the most of it on the head, but it's more of like the worlds that you get to go through and just seeing Pokemon doing some different stuff and like honestly figuring out how to do the secret stuff because like you have to do secret stuff at certain times and like you can't fuck up certain things or else you won't be able to like see the certain things and then
It sounds like my experience with No Man's Sky. I was like, I'm still flying around. I'll take a picture of that rock outcropping.
You got to collect all the flora
I
and
guess,
fauna.
but there's but I'm excited for that. They're showing the next Smash Bros DLC character tomorrow, but we know it's from the game ARMS, so that's actually going to be kind of cool. Because that was a cool idea for. I never played it, but it was
I
a cool
forgot about
looking
that game.
that
called
was,
ARMS.
that was launched around the start of the Switch. So, but what's interesting about that character is there was a assist trophy in the game that was already the character from ARMS, and then they're putting one in the game. So that might mean, who knows, Waluigi could be, finally taken in and put into the game.
Waluigi.
But finally,
How long does he have to wait?
seriously. Last of Us Part 2 comes out, highly anticipated sequel. I am probably like 3 to 5 hours into the game. I'm in. I'm ready for the ride. But Trevor, to go to what you were pointing out, if you go onto things like Metacritic and elsewhere, you'll see that it's been review bombed on the user side, but on the critic side, the critical side, it's pretty much critically acclaimed. I've seen
does the
now.
world
I've read a
come to?
couple of. I've read a
Critics
couple
love it.
of
You should
shocker, I know. But I've read a couple of like reviews actually that like weren't super, that weren't like overall like a positive experience, which I thought were interesting because I think those are important. But I don't know, man. For me, when it comes down to the whole thing, it just is gamers being mad about stupid things, and it like people might, they're coming out and
oh, the game sucks, blah, blah, blah. And they're already saying all this stuff, but all the majority of that stuff was happening when the game wasn't even out for 24 hours, and the game is estimated to be a 20 to 30-hour game.
Yeah,
so it's kind of just like, you're just full of shit because you don't like that the character is a lesbian, and you don't like the fact that like there's a prominent sex scene. I will say though, when you compare it to the Last of Us, there is definitely a lot more. It's a lot slower of a pace right now of like where I'm at. There's a lot more talking, a lot more stuff that happens. But I mean, I don't want to spoil anything at all. But there is a moment there, like for the beginning, I was like, all right, it's moving. And then boom, a big part of the plot happens. And now that's where that's relatively recent. I'm setting off to take care, or to follow up what had just happened, and I'm being intentionally vague because I really don't want to spoil anything, because it's like, I don't know, it was like a scene that just kind of was really intense and kind of like took that. I was just like, whoa, because that's the whole thing about this game is it's violent, it's depressing, it is, and again, violent is like underscored thing. So a lot of people are having like some issues with like, oh, we're trying to come to terms with killing a lot of people, but then you still kill a lot of people. So it's that weird video game thing of where like they're trying to have the characters like grow and develop and have remorse, but then it's like you still go there. But like I said, I'm 3 to 5 hours in the game, and I haven't killed a single human being yet. And I know that is going to change because I, again, have really, I've finally gotten past the intro and getting into, at least I would say, the beginning of the second act of the game. For me, I'm into it. It's a great revenge story, I think, or at least I hope it's going to be a great revenge story, but I also don't want to sit here and be like, oh, people can't have negative things about this game that I was really excited about, because like, if you don't dig it, you don't dig it either. But it's just the classic gamers whining and doing stupid stuff. But I wanted to ask you guys, how much do reviews factor into things for you? Are reviews a big deal for you guys? Do you guys take reviews, whether it be critical or user reviews? Do they hold a lot of weight for you?
I think it kind of depends on the thing. Like if I'm looking to buy something, like if I'm looking to buy like a household item or something like that, and I'm curious about like, finding a good quality version of whatever it is, like, I'm thinking of like, I don't know, like a kitchen utensil or something. It's like, I want to get like the best one for the money. So I'm going to scour the internet and like read some reviews and see like people's experience with different brands and things like that. But when it comes to like media, like movies, games, TV shows, things like that, I feel like after I've watched or experienced whatever thing, like the story and things like that, like I might go and read some reviews and like see what people thought about it, and maybe like, because some people have different conclusions to different movies and TV shows, especially if it's something where the ending is like up to your interpretation or whatever. So I like to read that kind of stuff.
Which the first Last of Us was definitely like, that was a prime example of.
Yeah, exactly. So like, well, and I haven't played the first game, but like if I were to play it, I would probably play through the whole thing and then go and read some of that stuff and whatever. But that stuff wouldn't keep me from, purchasing and playing it, because I definitely put more weight into like, you being like, oh man, this game's really cool, you should check it out. And so I'll check it out, even if there's like a billion negative reviews on it. Like I put more weight into like what my friends recommend, kind of a thing. So.
What about you, Lub?
Meh. Like, critics definitely. You're talking about just specifically critic views, right?
Both, honestly. I mean, anything. I mean, does the fact that The Last of Us 2 has a 9.6 on Metacritic critical and a 3.2 user review thing with 1,000 peer reviews that are mostly negative, like, does that do anything for you?
No, I just play the game. Like, there's definitely it might be a little affected. Like if it's a completely random game I've never heard of, it's something indie, and it has like 1 out of 10 from everybody. Yeah, I might not buy the $15 game, but like generally, I like if it seems like a game where the mechanics are something that I would be interested in, I'll just try it. Especially because a lot of games are free nowadays. Not all of them, and there's plenty that aren't.
Or there's sales. There's great sales, I feel like that. There's like a sale every week. It
So
seems
I
crazy.
swear they go to like 101% off, where it's like we'll give you 15 cents to buy this game.
That's
Yeah,
Steam.
and I mean,
They're pretty extreme. My buddy
It's-
just
yeah,
got Oblivion for I think $3.50 with the DLC.
did it come with? Yeah, I mean that. Look at. I mean, Ava would have a
Yeah.
stroke for that. You know what I mean?
Also,
like
I know we talked about Sky Oblivion recently, but I
there an
cannot
update?
wait. That's no, I don't think so. I think that it's still in development, but that is definitely going to be something that we should be streaming, and we should all get together and like watch each other play that, because that could be super fun. They're
yeah, it'd
literally
be cool to
porting all of
experience
Oblivion into
that
the
game.
Skyrim engine.
Because I feel like
crazy.
if once I make it out to Washington, I'm not going to be able to not at least see what the Oblivion's all about from Ava, which is easily her favorite
I
game.
can't believe you've never played it.
Dude, I
But
didn't
you've
play.
played-
I didn't play Elder Scrolls until I've gotten out of the sewers, and that's it. In Oblivion, and then I didn't play Elder Scrolls until Skyrim.
Definitely,
And I
I think
never beat
Oblivion
Skyrim.
is my favorite out of them, but I don't want to dive down that hole because I won't climb out for long.
Yeah, but anyway, I think reviews. I like to read reviews. I am curious, but it's definitely like I like The Last of Us. I was buying, like, didn't matter, if everyone said it was, even if critically it wasn't all that good. That was a game I was going to try for myself for sure. But then I think a good example would be like Crackdown 3. I liked Crackdown 1. Crackdown 2 was pretty good. Crackdown 3 was in developmental hell, blah, blah, blah. But then it was coming to Game Pass day one, so I was like, the reviews aren't all that great, but here's this service I can play it for this price versus paying for it. And so that fact, I feel like that's when critics kind of come into games where it's like, especially Microsoft games, where if I can play it for free on Game Pass, then I'm not going to worry about probably buying it if I can just try it and then buy it from there. But something like The Last of Us, it didn't matter. I was buying that. I want to be and experience the story and be in that world again, as much as it's kind of hard to be in that world sometimes. But like, I don't know. So I feel like, again, though, like I'll have more to say like about like the legit concern or like criticisms that people have and like about the game. But I will say, like, if you are seeing The Last of Us 2 stuff and you're like, wow, these reviews are a little bit like, just make sure that you actually are like, one, really careful of spoilers, because people don't give a fuck and they will just spoil it for you because the stuff leaked early and they're assholes. And
That's the worst.
And two, like, there are the people that legitimately say the game is shitty because it is a female-led game and she is a lesbian. Like, there's 1,000% people that are upset about that and think it's a way bigger deal and it's the social justice warrior agenda coming for you or something like that. So
Does it feel?
But again,
I can understand that, like, that being a concern if it felt really pandering, like if it was just like the company trying to, like check off some boxes, But
I mean,
if you're
yeah,
just pissed off about that simple fact, then fuck you anyway. So
it's I wouldn't say the romance of it is any more nuanced than if someone had a romance in there in the
most
of
video
the same,
game
a
romances
different
feel
sense.
ham-fisted, to be fair.
Yeah, kind of
Most of
anyway. But I mean, this one's not like, ugh. It's like, honestly, what's interesting, I think, so far about it is Ellie is like 18, 19 years old, and she's grown up in this thing. And, there's a whole lot of this. Like, in the beginning, there is this other guy that's like, there's kind of some weird, like, relationship stuff. But it's like, I think that's kind of cool to, like, have the worlds being built of, they're that age in this world, and like so like in the middle of being on patrol and fighting the infected, they're also like having their high school relationship type drama stuff. And I actually think that's kind of interesting because it shows that like they're not just, hey, we're here to go on patrol and da 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 da, and so it's just nice to see just a little bit of
Humanity.
It's not like, yeah, exactly. It's
Humanity's
just
a
it
good
shows
way
that like
word for
they're
it.
living in the world, not just
Surviving.
or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So, and
I-
but
I
again, I'm going to
realized-
see how it goes.
No, I realized
ahead.
with like now that we're going on like 4 or 5 months or whatever it's been with like working from home and like staying socially distant, things like that. I'm realizing now that a lot of post-apocalyptic like doomsday type movies don't really depict day-to-day life that realistically. It's like I've been moving my furniture around for like 3 weeks because I'm just bored, and I'm like, I want this couch over here. They don't show that in Mad Max.
Right. But again, I think it's fair to have criticisms of games. I think it's fair to think that a highly regarded game that, I mean, you can't knock the other reviews. Like, so I don't want to give the impression that it's like that, but it is also just like take that shit with a grain of salt.
People are always going to be upset
gamers are
about sequels.
But it's gamers especially, you know? Gamers are the biggest whiners in the entire world.
Yeah, sweaty neckbeards.
Like... Anyway, but that's really it. I feel like I got for that. But for me, I'm really excited. I'm going to dive in probably more tonight. Probably put another like 3 hours and stuff. And fun fact, they're going to Seattle, so there you go. It's another connection to Washington.
Speaking of,
I will say, like, I guess. Hey, go ahead.
No, I was going to change to.
I'm a little. I feel like I got like a slight delay, like in my connection. So I just feel like I'm missing you by like a hair. But anyway, switch it up. Let's do it.
I'm just always going to cut you off. No, speaking of diving into things, Caleb mentioned in one of the last episodes that we might be finally seeing the release of another George R.R. Martin book in the
next month.
Song of Ice and Fire, which I don't think it's actually confirmed. I was trying to look that up, but I did start reading the first book again, A Game of Thrones, and I'm about halfway through it. So I don't know when we did that episode, but I'm already like halfway through the first book.
It was last week. I listened to it.
Oh, really?
Nice.
So yeah,
it was
I've
last
been just
week.
trucking through it. It's good. Like, it reminds me just how good the show was back when it first like launched, you know. And I'm just like, man, and like his writing, he's just a great writer. Like, I'm honestly just impressed with the world he's able to spin, you know. So it's been pretty good, but I dove into that.
My favorite podcast, Kind of Funny, has been diving back into Lord of the Rings, so it's been cool to listen to them talk about and like go back into that world. And they're bringing up a bunch of like director's cut stuff because they're doing extended edition stuff too, and like highlighting some stuff that from like the director's commentary and stuff. Cool too. So it's, you know, not obviously Game of Thrones, but like going back into that fantasy world, because I would say I think Lord of the Rings is up there with like one of my favorite high fantasy worlds. Like, I just think the world of that is so cool, and
wait, which one?
What goes on? Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
Oh, I thought you said
they're doing
War of the Worlds. I was like, that is not high fantasy, Paul.
It's pretty high fantasy.
Science fiction.
What? Aliens aren't high fantasy?
They could be.
But anyway,
I wouldn't be surprised
cool,
if you were
Trevor.
trying to argue that.
Did you watch that Lord of the Rings reunited together with Josh Gad? Have you watched any of those?
No, honestly, I know a bunch of those have happened. I haven't dived into really of like, I haven't dove into like any of the reunited thing, like Scrubs reunited, I think, and Community reunited too. Like, I mean, it's cool ideas, but to be totally honest, like, if they're not podcasters or like my podcast, I just don't know how much I like the Zoom call things that go on, as I say that as we're literally doing that thing. But again, I think it's a cool thing and I want to check it out, but I feel like I just have, the thing hasn't been like, I don't know, I'm not as big of a Lord of the Rings fan as I feel like other people's are too, so it's just like it's cool that they all got together, but I don't know. I'm getting what I need out of Lord of the Rings from my podcast, listening to it. But I really like that, like, they're all coming together and doing some cool stuff and telling behind the scenes stories, because that's really interesting when you get to hear more about like the filming. Like, I didn't know Orlando Bloom had broken ribs for like an extended period of time while filming.
I didn't even know that.
Like, while filming. So like one of the, like the scene in the Two Towers where he kind of like flips up on the horse, or like, you know, whatever, does elf stuff to get up onto the horse.
You
like,
know that
they
scene?
did that in post. They did that in post because he couldn't get on a horse because his fucking ribs were broken.
Oh my gosh.
That scene where Aragorn, like, they find out, spoilers for the Lord of the Rings. I don't know what world you live in if this is a spoiler for you. But,
Yeah, I mean,
where Aragorn like finds out, like, they find the burned pile of orc bodies, and they find, I think it's one of the wee belts, you know, like they find the little belt of the Hobbit, I think is what it is, and Aragorn is like, and he kicks the helmet and falls down to his knees. In that scene, he broke his toe kicking the helmet. Like, from that kick, he apparently broke his, I don't know if it was like his big toe or something, but
that's when they think Merry and Pippin might be dead, right?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a great scene.
and they also, one last interesting tidbit I've learned, since they, like, all of the chainmail and all this stuff was practical, the blacksmith that made all the chainmail worked so hard on all of that stuff and so long, he doesn't have fingerprints anymore. He like wore off his fingerprints or something. from just all the crafting he had to do. I don't know if
crazy.
that's true and your fingerprints
It's part
can
of a
truly
bigger
stay gone
conspiracy.
forever, but anyway, no, so that was interesting. But anyway, let's dive into let's pick where we're gonna go, because Trevor brought up a good one. That
This
I think
isn't.
actually,
So I just want to address that this isn't a topic. If we're 32 minutes into the show, this isn't.
It
That's
is.
not how topics work.
first half is introduction, second half is the topic. Hey, you. Yes, you. We just wanted to take the next 30 seconds to tell you, our favorite listener, about the easiest way to make a podcast, Anchor. If you've been listening to us babble on week after week and thought, hey, I could do this, then Anchor is the place for you. They give you all the tools you need in one place to record and edit a great-sounding podcast, whether you're on a phone or a computer, and the best part, it's free. They even take care of distribution and monetization so you can be heard everywhere and start making money from your show with no listenership required. If you've got the next great podcast idea, download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started now. Right now! Do it! Go now!
I think that's how our show usually goes.
If that's how you write your papers, I understand now what's going on with your cover letters.
You know, hey,
the first
I
3
talk
pages.
a lot. I put a lot out there. There's a lot to digest. We cover a lot of ground, but we got details on all that ground.
I think people
You know
are
what I'm
going to
saying?
need some Pepto-Bismol with this, you know?
Maybe.
It
But
won't go
do we
down
want to
well.
go into the pizza discussion? Do we want to do that real quick and then go into
No.
this other one, or do we want to dive
No,
in? I like Caleb's
I think-
topic here.
We've gotten a lot of pizza talk. I think we should talk about, especially considering today is Father's Day, and we're going to talk about, I think, are we becoming our fathers? But also just how, maybe not necessarily like, are we the carbon copy, but like in a younger generation, but just like how, like our fathers specifically have influenced our lives, and how we are different from them as well. Like how we're unique people, but we're still, you know, doesn't fall far from the tree.
First, before we dive into that, special shout out to Chat Pack Dad fan number one, Scott Heim.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Chat Pack Dad.
Which I was going to specifically say that in just like straight appearance, you know, from the outside, there couldn't be very many different people from their father than Trevor Heim from Scott Heim.
What?
They are quite, when you just, you know, if you were to walk up and be like, hi, like, you know, I'm Caleb Cole, what's your name? And he's like, oh, it's Trevor Heim, you know, and then Scott is just quite, I'm not
doing
asking
there,
his name.
buddies?
He is telling me. I know that for a fact.
How you doing, Mr. Scott Heim here?
See, I feel like
firm
I've always
But
people have
he's
always
not-
told me
he's
that
not a
I'm
radio announcer. Is
Someday,
Scott
someday,
Heim a
someday.
carnival barker in your world?
I was just going for more of
Could
a
be.
loud, bombastic voice.
Yeah, he's loud.
Him and you know, one thing that Trevor's dad and I have in common: loud. We're loud people.
He used to bring didn't he used to bring not a blowhorn, but like the megaphones to the
Vuvuzela?
lacrosse games?
he had those
No,
too.
well those two. Yeah. But no, I mean like a megaphone, and he would just yell into the megaphone during the lacrosse
Dude,
games.
I
Which
think
I found
Paul-
out later that yelling was influenced by Red Bull and vodka 9 times out of 10.
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh, 100%.
Hell yeah.
No, Paul, you would have loved my dad in high school, because every game he strived to be the loudest one in the stands, even if it was at risk of getting kicked out of that arena.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's what you got to
yeah,
do. His
great
boy's
parent
out on
for
the
you.
field. You telling him this boy's out there playing ball? He's going to be the number one fan. No one's going to
yeah.
tell him otherwise.
Well, and as Caleb said, he always, if you ever saw my dad at a high school game with the foam like 7-Eleven
Finger?
cup, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh.
Like the tall foam cup. Yeah, that was vodka Red Bull.
Oh my
I can just see him.
gosh.
He's sitting in the back like a high schooler trying to sneak into the game, sneaking his own, like making his own Red Bull vodka to sneak in. He's
Oh,
in
yeah.
the back of like the parking lot of the school parking
I'd
lot, looking
imagine,
out
too,
for,
it's, like, real
the
stout.
resource officer, just making this big. And I'm sure that Red Bull vodka was strong too. If I know Scott
Yeah.
Heim and his cocktails, that's a
Probably
triple
was.
shot.
That just
Oh,
sounds
yeah,
like a scene out of
easily.
Kicking and Screaming, where it's like he's got the Red Bull vodka, and like one of the enemy players like falls over, and he's like huffing and puffing. He's like, hey kid, come over, like take a sip of this Gatorade, and then he sips it, and it's just vodka, and he spits it out on the field, and he's like,
It's like, now get back in there.
Oh my.
yeah.
Man, I haven't seen that movie in a long. Where's my juice box? Juice box, boy.
Yeah, that's a great
Juice
movie.
box.
Mike Ditka, just
no,
hilarious choice.
Before we get into the dad topic, though, have you guys seen that commercial that's been going around Hulu a bunch lately with the people turning into their parents?
Oh, God,
man.
I hate that commercial.
With the really, when they're in
I don't hate
the
that.
hardware store, that oh my gosh, that's the one commercial I think is
It's
hilarious.
funny, but I hate commercials that just have literally nothing to do with the product that they're advertising. And it's insurance all the fucking time. It's always insurance companies. It's just a further example of insurance is a scam.
It's the worst right now too, because there's so many commercials that I'm like, I literally don't know what this could be for until the very end when they show me the logo, and then I'm like, oh, okay, it's for Citibank or whatever it is. But no, that one I felt is pretty good. It's like they've got
funny.
like
It's funny. It's
a help
definitely
person, and I just
My
always
favorite-
laugh at when he's like, we all see it, and he's like, blue hair, there's blue.
I love when he like walks over, like it just like shows the helper like looking, like they're both standing in front of the couch, and he's like, look at the couch. You have too many. There's nowhere to sit, and he's just pointing at a couch that's filled completely with throw pillows.
Yeah.
There's like
many
I like the
actually
one
nowhere
where-
to sit, just piled on top.
I think I like the one where it's like, what are you reading? Books about submarines? You know who else reads books about my submarines? My dad. No, I should. That's a funny commercial, but honestly, I just have such a burning disdain for commercial, like especially right now
Yeah.
because it's so many just bullshit progressive commercials, and then it's like,
father.
no, God no.
Dude.
But then it's like Amazon and Walmart come on, and they're like, we care about our workers and you during the coronavirus, and blah blah blah.
Dude.
We take it safe.
If I have to
It's
see
just like-
one
you
more
see,
car
you go on Twitter, and
company-
it's like a yeah. Dude, the worst was in the beginning where it was like, I think it was like Carvana or something, and they were like, now more than ever, you need to buy a car. And it's like,
no.
who
Not
needs to
even
buy
close.
a car? And it's like, or like, and like another one I saw, like in that same vein was like Lexus was trying to like say that like, now is the time to buy a Lexus. Like,
We've
this
got
is when you need
0% APR and no payment due for 84 months. This is not a bad deal at all.
Wow.
Buy a car. Oh,
Sounds great.
You don't have a job? You can just push back the payments. You don't
In
need a
84
job.
months,
That's
you
how it
better have a
works.
job.
In 84 months, yeah, when your Lexus bill catches up with you. But
But to dive in to the am I becoming my father? I think there's a lot of things about my dad that are permanently etched onto me. I think like I'm very money concerned. I don't know if I'm the best at budgeting and things, but like money and price, like that is one thing my dad just hammered into me like growing up, and I think I will always be that. It's like, you got your paycheck, so this chunk goes to savings, this chunk goes to, you know, important costs. And I think there's like elements of like being an upbeat, loud, trying to be a like my dad likes to lead. My dad likes to get up in front of people and talk. My dad, you know, I mean, there's definitely like those elements that I think I am definitely very much like my dad in. And but and also I'm getting he gave me his freaking hairline. I'm gonna be bald like him. But you know, in terms of like some other things with my dad, like we do not see eye to eye politically all the time. That's for sure. And some other stuff that I know we just don't see eye to eye on. But like at the end of the day, if you've ever met my dad likes to be around, you know, hang out with people he cares, but likes to just mostly do his thing, has his routines and like his things, you know, and as you guys know, it's like I like my routines and I like my things. I like to sit in my chair. I like to wind down my day. I like to play, you know what I mean? Like that's what my dad would always do that. Like, and so I just feel like I'm totally the same way. You come home from work, you pop in the chair, you might take a nap. Like there's definitely, I feel like a bunch of small things that I feel like I've carried from my dad, but I feel like there are some things that I just see a little bit differently, and that's a good, and that's okay, and that's a good thing, I think, too, because I think it's important to remember, at least for us, is, I mean, my dad worked every day since he was like 14, so like career driven stuff and like having stable jobs and that stuff is like very important to him, whereas for me it's like you worked your ass off and gave me a life where I didn't need to have a job until I was in college, basically. I mowed lawns and stuff, but I didn't, like, my parents were way more focused on me doing well in school and, like, being a social, fun kid versus, like, I'm sure what his dad said of,
really
you're getting a
forced
job.
you in. They really, well, I don't know if I'd say forced, but it very strongly encouraged you to do as much after school stuff as possible. So that kind of, like, is a direct inhibitor to getting a job, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have a job until I quit lacrosse because you couldn't. You had 3
that's
hour
what my
windows.
dad, Yeah, and like that's definitely one thing. Like I guess like I would say for sure if I am to be a father, because at the end of the day, like I don't know, I'm still young enough, but I'm getting to this stage, and like as I go on, like I'm not necessarily like sold on the idea of having kids. Like I don't know, I don't think that's necessarily what I think I might want to do. But if I was to have a kid, that idea of you're not coming home after school right away, that is a must. That is a 100%. That is definitely something I'm taking from my dad, and I don't care what they do, but it's you're playing sports, you're playing instrument, you're in theater, you're taking Spanish class.
Well, that would hopefully be during school,
or because my dad said that he's like, if you don't do that, you're getting a job, and it was just like, I just feel like that makes sense. I just feel like that having that type of structure and then like developing that passion for things that I love, like baseball, was just really, really key to me. And that's obvious. One thing too, like the passion for sports, especially baseball. Baseball ties me and my dad together very strongly as well. So I guess that would be my spiel. It's like, so yes, in certain ways, I definitely have become my dad, and I'm becoming more like my dad. But I know of the things that I kind of, and I don't. This sounds like mean, but like there's the things that I know I'm forging my own path away from what he maybe thinks mean. Or what he would do. Yeah, I think I fixed the phrasing in my head. I think I was gonna make it sound a little bit more harsh or something like that. But that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, my dad's a dirty little bitch and I'm not. Is that how it was in your head?
Yeah,
little bitch boy.
Sounds like something Paul would say.
Yeah, 100%. Shout out to
Trevor. What's your take?
Also,
on that?
my dad's a belly flop champion, so I mean, shout out to
maybe
him.
by the time you're like 35 or 40, you'll have a belly big enough to do a belly flop champion, or to be a belly flop champion. Excuse the burp there.
I will never be able to. I will never have a pool full of people chant my name, and then
not with that attitude, Holden.
All these other people.
We can stage it.
What'd you say?
I said not with that attitude,
dude,
Holden.
No, I don't want it staged. I don't want that stage, dude. My dad literally comes home from a midday 4th of July nap. We get him to come back up to the pool, and the whole pool is chanting his name. And like everyone else is doing like much better like some people are doing better belly flops. There's all these kids, but no one gives a shit, because then my dad just rolls up and just does the same backflip flop he did for like 15 years. It was incredible. And
backflip?
We had a great picture of it. Oh yeah, dude, he would get on and he would always like get on the board, and he'd always do my dad thing where he just like puts his hands out and like does like a little
jazz
woo,
hands,
and then he would just turn around, and then and then it was just a beautiful, just woo,
majestic belly
flop. And then, dude, it just is he's a crowd. The crowd erupts. My dad is a big crowd pleaser, and the one thing I also do want to take from my dad is just like how good he is with kids. When we had my brother's wedding in Sanibel, and my brother's now wife, her kid or her nieces and nephews came onto the they all came to the States and stuff, and there was the big language barrier, but like he made sure that those kids were going to the beach, like those kids were having fun, they had what they needed, and they called him Tenoshi-san,
because they're pretty young, right?
Not the kids, but there was one of Checky's. I think Checky's brother can speak some English. He's actually spent some time in Ohio, Cincinnati, actually, which was cool for my dad because that's where he's from. But yeah, so then eventually,
we're so disappointed though when people are like, "Yeah,
Checky's like nieces and nephews."
I went to Ohio. I'm like, ah, like
I mean, he was pumped on Ohio. He loved basketball, and LeBron was on the Cavs. Like he was in Ohio when LeBron was on the Cavs. Like he was pumped on it actually. So, but yeah. So then like by the end of the trip and by the end of the wedding, my little nieces, I guess step nieces or something, whatever you would call them. Yeah, they named my dad Tenoshi-san, which is Mr. Fun in Japanese. So that just kind of
Tenoshi-san? That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Tenoshi-san. Yeah, it was awesome. So yeah, I mean, definitely some shout outs to my dad. I love my pops. Anyway, you guys?
Trevor, what's your take on that? Do you think Paul is just like his dad? I think Paul, I don't know your dad that well, but you're definitely stubborn like your dad.
Oh yeah, 100%. God,
you definitely got that bullheadedness, which trust me, I have for sure from my dad.
Ava would
also
agree.
From my mom. Yeah,
I feel like, Caleb, your parents, you're so stubborn, but your parents are also so stubborn that they can't even be that mad at you. They're like, yep, he's our boy. This is what he does.
Kelsey always tells me that I'm like an absolute, like, melt my parents down into one pot and then make a new mold. And she said, like, I have so many of the qualities that my mom does, but then so many that my dad has too. I like to think like it's only the good qualities. Kelsey disagrees.
You like to hope.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you only think the good side, huh? Right? You only see yourself in the good light, huh? Shocker.
Yeah, I'm like stubborn only in the good way. That's how that works.
Yeah, exactly.
When you have a baby, you purge your bad qualities. Trevor?
No, I feel like I'm kind of the same way. I'm like a pretty even combination of a bunch of different things from my mom and my dad. And I feel like it's always been like a thing in my family that we joke about that like people will meet me and meet my mom and they're like, oh my gosh, you're just like your mom. And then they meet my dad later and they're like, never mind. You guys are like, just you're a total like Heim or whatever. But no, I feel like this is a kind of a hard thing to discuss because things like with me being like my dad or me being like my parents, I feel like when I try to think about things that I do that are like them, I don't necessarily like I can't necessarily see it, but like in the heat of the moment, like there's definitely been times where I've like said something to somebody or I've like done something and I'm like, whoa, that was definitely my dad. That's something my dad would do for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like Caleb said, like I feel like I should get Amanda in here and Amanda will just start pointing out like, yeah, you do this, your dad does this.
The partner
like,
knows better.
She definitely sees it. But yeah.
I mean, it's hard. It's really
feel
hard.
like the
Like
big
it takes
difference-
a different level of wisdom to like be able to. Yeah, Paul. See, I'm just gonna keep on talking. Yeah,
Do it.
But for real, I think
Bitch.
it's really, really. It takes a different level of introspection to like see how you act from the outside and then analyze it and like do it honestly. Because of course, like everything that you do, like is filtered by your own consciousness a little bit. Like I know that like even sometimes where like you act out in a way that you didn't think at all, you thought you were totally justified, and then from the outside like somebody tells you about how they experienced that and you're like, oh, that was a dick move, wasn't it? Like I didn't perceive it that way at all, but like, I don't know, like when I poke fun at Paul for being out of shape, like I thought that was just good fun, but apparently it's not nice.
But Paul's really sensitive about it.
I'm pretty open and honest. I'm flabby. It's all right. I worked out literally like 15 minutes before this.
Nice.
Yeah, he's
The
not.
show?
Okay, he's also compared to most people that I know. You know how like some people like they graduate high school and then they go to college and you're like, holy shit, you were an athlete. What happened to you? Like, did you just switch to donuts? Like people do that,
All
But that's
freshman
not
year
you, Paul.
donuts.
Yeah, I think some people truly do. They just like lose that guidance and then, all right, but whatever. Sorry.
Oh,
Trevor.
yeah.
No,
I can think of a
I
handful.
think he wrapped it up.
Yeah.
I think he wrapped it up and was pitching it to you, actually, there, bud.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. Paul went on a little bit longer, but that's that's
Shocker.
the dynamic here. Yeah. I don't. For me, I guess
I have to
did
talk
pose
the
a
most.
question.
If I don't, then I'm not validated.
Yeah. Is that your dad coming out? I don't know your dad that well, so
Yeah.
no.
A little bit. It's just no, like sometimes like my dad it's the classic. My dad is always just like, let me finish. Like, don't interrupt my dad. Like that is just that's how you light the
the fire on the powder keg when you get in trouble in school or something, when I was doing something bad. And then, the way to make it worse was to interrupt my dad. And then it's just like, all right, listen, buddy. But anyway.
Hey,
Shit.
Paulie.
See,
What
I
did they
feel
call
like
it? Was
my
it Paul
family-
Francis when you're in trouble?
That's
Caleb
my
John.
mom, Paul Francis. That's
That's a mom
If you
move.
are sitting in the basement, if you're sitting in the basement playing some vids, and then you hear Mary Holden just say Paul Francis, it's just like in a certain tones, because like sometimes my mom had like a fun tone, but it's like, Paul Francis, and it's like, oh,
I'm in big
did
trouble.
I do?
And then there's like the exasperated Paul Francis. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
oh no. Not only did she have a bad day at work,
You know
but
what I'm
then
saying?
She
It's-
came home and there was
And I guess the
mess.
question was,
Shat.
because I think I take some stuff from my mom too, but I was just going with the dad side of the question. But yeah, you could tell with moms, the dialect is important, because you know when you fucked up, and your mom is coming in to lay down the hammer. But anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Caleb.
That was like, I just remember I'm assuming the first time my mom ever heard me curse was when I was playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 during my freshman year of high school, and I had gotten a bunch of stitches in my knee. So like I would just come home and play that game, because it was like I couldn't go to lacrosse practice. I'd play guitar a little bit, but I couldn't play drums, and I was just playing drums really at that time. So I would just come home and play that game, and I remember I had the door mostly closed. I'm sitting there playing. I'm like, oh, damn it. And I just heard, Caleb John, damn it. I was like, oh,
Of all cuss words to like get like in trouble for, like,
Damn it.
oh yeah. No,
Damn,
I
it
wasn't.
was
I
the
mean, it
one,
was
huh?
it was a very conservative household that I grew up in, which you would never guess now, because my mom has one of the
Yeah.
worst potty mouths I've ever heard from an adult. Like, and that includes like us. Like in this scenario, I'm considering us adults, which I don't know if I normally would, but just for the sake of the argument.
technically.
I feel like
Technically.
my
We
parents,
are all 25.
I don't think I'll ever feel like that. I will still always
God, no.
just refer to myself as a kid. I think until I hit like 60, until I start seeing consistent gray hairs, then I'll be like, yeah, I'm an adult. I don't deserve it, but I'm there.
I won't see any gray hairs because it won't exist on my head.
But
That's
they'll be
a
on your
silver
I'm
lining.
chin.
mad about I'm mad about turning bald, if you haven't noticed. And
Yeah,
I've done
Paul,
nothing
you
to
seem a
prevent
little
it
bit
or
bitter.
do anything to stop it.
I saw, and I saw
not doing
some.
any of the
It was like a
shampoos,
meme.
not doing any of the like pills or anything.
Yeah, well, I
not
saw
taking
that,
the hair from your butt
somebody
and
said,
plugging it in.
what?
That's what I'm gonna do. Butt hair plugs.
They take your butt hair and they put it into your head.
That's not. Tell me that's not
Mhm.
real. Trevor,
I mean,
is that
it's a
real?
hair transplant,
Don't ruin
dude.
my
They
day.
just- they just
Tell me
take
it's
it
not
from-
real.
Why would that ruin your day? You have plenty of hair on your head.
Yeah, but I have more on my butt. You don't understand.
I think that's advantageous then, so that you can always like use it for other things.
Oh my gosh. Okay, moving on. Anyway, when it comes to my relation to my parents, I think I'm like a really good combination of both, and like I get the analytical side of my brain, like the kind of the right brain, left brain. Like I know that's it's like a myth that people kind of blew out of proportion, but I think when it comes to problem solving, and especially you see it when I'm buying a product, like this right here. This pair of headphones, it's the Arctis Pro Wireless. I really like it, but it took me, honestly, almost a month and a half of daily reading reviews and YouTube videos and Reddit threads and just whatever information I could get about it. I was reading every single last bit to make sure that it was worth it before I bought it. It even had like a 30-day return policy, so I could have just ordered them and used it. But like that is my dad coming through. That he just sits and reads and reads and reads and like that Reddit. So for people who aren't Reddit users, you might not, but there's a Reddit called Buy It for Life, and it's where they post something that they've had for years and years, and it's just a really, really good product. Like I'm sure people post like Bergenstocks, those are one of those things that people say like you can have for a really, really long time, and they resole them and
Lawnmowers.
they take care of them. What was that?
lawnmowers.
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, so some like a Craftsman lawnmower. Yeah, people would definitely post that and like
Sears.
You know, you can
Sears lawnmower.
replace the spark plug every 3 years; it'll run forever. Like that's definitely both me and my dad. Like I love shit like that, and how like if you can fix something up, just make it last a little bit longer. Like my dad drove his Dodge Neon to 315,000 miles. I want to say, like it was just excessive, and it wasn't because he didn't like. It was honestly a stubbornness thing, which I also get from him, but I want to move on from that. He just was like, he would feel defeated if he didn't drive it farther than that. You know, like he just wanted to make it last forever. And because he was like, I made the decision to buy this car and I like this car and I'm going to keep using it because I don't need any nicer car. Like all through promotions, and like it wasn't until his company was like, we're just going to give you like a free car that you drive and we'll give you a different one every year, like, and you'll just return it, which it's hilarious. He complains every single year that they make him get the new year. Like, you know, like this year his car is a 2020 and next year they'll make him get a 2021 and he'll have to give back that car. And he's like, I don't get it. I want to keep my car. I like the one car. Why do I have to get a new one every year? I'm like, I have literally never heard anybody complain about being forced
given
to
a car.
get a brand new car every single year, which also
I'll be honest,
I can't
though,
believe
that I totally like can see that, because I don't even see the
You get
point in like
comfortable.
having like a car that's come out in the last like 10 years or so. Like I've got like my 2007 Scion and I'm just like, this is the car that I will drive. And I don't see the point in
Until
any
it's
new
not
ones. I'm
drivable.
like, people are like, you know, but you can get a new car that has like all these electronics and blah
Apple
blah. I'm like,
CarPlay.
mine has a stereo. I don't need a newer car than this. It's fine.
Well, somebody like you'd be like, if something came out that was like really like a new product, you're like, oh my gosh, these radios are amazing. You'd probably just buy that radio and put it in the car. Like
Yep.
if you really wanted that much, like
way cheaper
you'd
than
just
buying a brand new
upgrade.
car.
Yeah, and that's
the one,
how I
the
am
one
too.
thing I think on new cars, I like the backup cameras. I'm not gonna lie, I fuck with the backup camera hard.
Also, something that you
think
can
it's
put
a-
in your
I think-
car.
I almost
Difficult.
got
I
a
can't
backup
even. I can't
camera.
even get the speakers to play. I can't even have my speakers just turn on at the right time. I'm just driving half the time. It's all playing out the right, and then I'm driving, and then it just kicks
Did
on
you
in the
try
left
pushing the
randomly.
aux
It's like,
cable
all right,
farther
there we
in?
go. That's Bluetooth that it does it for anything.
Oh God, I bet it's some
The
shoddy
sync
wiring.
system that Ford introduced was just shitty, and the
Well, it's also,
electrical
what, a
stuff that was
2012?
in my the electrics in my car aren't the greatest, and shouldn't say that on the internet because buy my car when I want to sell it soon. Anyway, Caleb,
No,
what else we have
I
to
was
say?
thinking about. Oh, sorry,
Oh,
Caleb. You can continue.
No, I wasn't sure where we were going, but anyway, whoever wants to talk.
I want to
can
hear
talk.
from Trevor.
No, with what Caleb was saying, like it got me thinking. Like I feel like it's easy to think about the things that we like the traits that we got from our parents that are like more negative traits are like easier to think about because you're like, oh, I'm pretty stubborn and like, you know, I have to deal with that with my parents too, but I'm the same way or whatever. So I was trying to think of like some positive traits that I have definitely inherited from my parents and specifically
You're like,
my
"I've got
dad
none."
since it's Father's
None.
Day. Yeah, nothing at all. No, no. The thing that comes to mind is my dad and I. We both share, and I would even say his dad and like his brothers all share this. It's just like a thing in our family. But like people will just talk to us, and we like. I feel like I can talk to anyone really, but like I don't always start the conversation. Like people just start telling me things, and we all have experienced it. And I feel like it's a cool thing that I enjoy that I seem to have inherited is just like I can go anywhere and be in any environment and just start talking to random people and it's great. Like I just learn so
Right.
much from people. And I feel like that's a trait my dad really has and like he's done well in the sales world with because being in sales you have to talk to people all the time. So he's just like a talker, you know, like we just talk to people. But
Yeah, a
was
1,000%.
definitely something I
I
got from
totally,
my
I
mom.
totally feel that.
you got that
Like,
from your mom, Kevin?
Wheeling, like,
Oh yeah, social butterfly.
yeah, Caleb's mom is way more of the social. Caleb's dad is like, hey, I'm here. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. I'm gonna drink this beer.
He's
then I
not
have
shy,
like 15 bales
like,
of hay I need to
whatsoever.
go. No, that's what I'm saying. He's not shy. He's just there. He's like, I just got 15 bales of hay I got to go take care of here before the goats get upset. So I can only hang for a bit, and then I got to go back.
He's like, if you hens want to keep on clucking, I'll go back out to the field.
He's a real man's man.
But it's like his dad always. I mean, Caleb's dad always would come and like strum up a conversation and hang out when I was there. And obviously, Trevor, your dad will hang out with the best of us.
My dad will talk your ear off.
I mean,
yeah, which I really enjoy talking to people.
He'll drink you under the table and he'll talk your ear off.
It was nice because your guys' dads became my fill-in dads on Dad's Weekend because my dad didn't make it out usually for Dad's Weekend, so I got to go out with Scott Heim and honestly I don't even know. I usually just refer to Caleb's dad as Mr. Cole because
I think
your dad it's like I want to say is Scott, but like when I see Caleb's dad, that's Mr. Cole. Like I want to make sure that he's Mr. Cole.
I think that's so
because
funny.
I just feel like. But like it's Scott, it's like Scotty.
Well, and my dad would encourage
Scott, what's up, my dude? Hey, Mr. Cole, how are you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like Scott, you ready to take some shots? What's up, man? And then it's like, oh, Mr. Cole, thanks so much for your chicken burrito recipe. They were delicious.
Yeah, those are pretty bomb actually.
My dad definitely encourages that
lemon
though.
juice.
He's like, don't call me Mr. Heim. That's not cool.
Yeah,
Mr. Heim.
that's what I always tell
Dad likes
students. When I'm substitute teaching, I don't like people will be like Mr. Cole. I'm like just call me Caleb. It's fine. Like it's and like they'll listen to you more. I swear. Like if you feel more relatable, like that doesn't mean you're a pushover, but like just show them that you respect them as much as they should respect you, and they will give you that respect. You can't demand it, you know. Speaking of things I'm very different from my father on, that's the same thing you were saying, the political compass. There's some things that we really agree on, and then there's some things that we, obviously. But I think that's the natural flow of a lot of generations. And honestly, I've been thinking about that a lot because obviously the climate in the U.S., at least, if not the whole world, is really polarized. And you see a lot of that polarization between young people and old people. And I think it's pretty interesting because it seems like from all like the history I've read and from the the families or my parents that I've talked to, it seems like that's always the case. Like it's not just because like I thought a lot of it was like the technology age and especially the age of the internet and how much things can change. Or like how much the amount of knowledge that is out there changes how we perceive the world. But I think I think it really is just like the younger generations often just have different views, and like maybe it's part of the because I don't want to generalize that all older people are conservative and younger people are liberal, but that's generally that seems to us three came from very conservative families, right? Very Republican, if you want to put it that way. And then
yes and no for me. There was conservative sides. I wouldn't say very though for me.
Yeah,
like, I would definitely say I wasn't like a staunch conservative stuff. There were definitely some stuff, but like for example, my dad and I wouldn't go shoot guns. Like my dad is not a gun guy or anything like that. And
which isn't also always a Republican thing. Like it's like
true.
The far
but
right
I was just giving a brief.
More.
I was just a brief
fair.
example for that.
But yeah, I think it's interesting that that can be a big difference because like the age thing. Because I wonder if by the time I reach my dad's age, if my worldviews will drastically change from what they are now. And I remember Trevor 100%. A long time ago saying that what was the age, Trevor? It was like they estimate that once you reach it's like 34 that your worldviews will not change any further. It's like I remember you had told me about some article you were reading or some study.
I don't off the top of my head I can't remember that, but I do know like with like technology and things like that too, they say like once ourselves like we hit like a certain age, we can't really like pick up like the latest technology anymore as easily, and like probably wouldn't pick up like new political views. It's like can't teach an old dog new tricks kind of a thing. But
yeah, which is partially a load of crap,
I'm sure that's not
partially. Yeah, it's like it's true in the general sense, but like obviously there's plenty of people who are outliers on either side. Like there's
Yeah.
plenty.
Well,
I know plenty of young people, my girlfriend being one of them, who struggles deeply with technology. You know, does not like it.
I would
does
say,
not
though, that,
want
like,
it.
Like I think us, like our generation though, was the first one that had the biggest separation versus technology, and it's taken to this point to see. It's like, I mean, I just remember, like, my parents would, every time I would be like texting or something, if I was just sitting on my phone a lot, my parents were always like, who are you diddling, what are you doing, why are you
Who are
always
you
on your
diddling?
phone? And now it's like,
Did they say
that's what-
diddling?
that's what they say. They did.
That is.
I'm not lying. Hey.
I think someone
you know,
doesn't tell them.
I didn't come up with it. Again, there you go. There's your
To avoid an
generational
awkward
differences, I guess.
situation with the younger generation, I think you need to tell your parents that diddling could be perceived as something very inappropriate.
Yeah, we moved on from that term, but anyway, now it's like my mom and dad are on Facebook like all the time, and but like it's definitely, I think,
way more than any of us.
I think the exposure
Older
of
generation loves
technology
Facebook.
and like,
It's weird.
yeah, it's because they're
Hate
reverting.
Facebook.
It's gonna, like, it's us, you know. They're reverting like when we first got Facebook, and we were like, yeah. But I think now with the access to information and the access to everything is like we're really seeing like that technology understanding gap definitely fuels more division, I think, between, and whether that be a good thing or a bad thing. But like, I think now that because I just think before everything, it was a lot of times where the family was, you're in the family business, you're born on, you know, or you go and work at the shop, and then you take over for dad, and then they, you know, the boom, ba boom, ba boom, and then the rarity was you go off and go to college and do something else, or like something like similar. Or I just feel like now it's like we have access to so many different things and information and traveling, and all this stuff is just more in our face versus, I think, like when our parents, it's like my dad growing up in small town Ohio, it was like small town Ohio was the world. And then, you know, you got your information from the paper and the radio a little bit, but that was it. You're not seeing thousands of videos on Twitter or just Googling anything, you know, like I think you could see some definite differences now. I think that has the biggest impact, like now going forward. For
think
stuff.
I think that's also kind of creating an interesting issue of, like, when you grew up in small town, you know, wherever, and that was like your whole world. If you had a really, you know, far out there, like, outlier viewpoint, or like a far out there idea, you kind of just stayed with you in your little small town. But now you can actually find people across the globe that also share that really far out, like, viewpoint, and kind of band together with those people, which is an interesting thing that's been happening.
It can be, you're either banding together over like, oh, look at all the
Something-
world loves this game. Now it's like, or like, you know, groups that are like hate groups and things like that. You know, it's a very interesting thing. But yeah, man, I think though from all of us, I would say I think we got some pretty stellar dads that have raised some pretty stellar dudes. But that, I think, is going to be the Chat Pack podcast. We're going to get ready to wrap things up here. Trevor looked like he is getting hailed to go to his afternoon hike. I think Caleb's got
Amanda,
I want to go make some food.
Amanda came in here saying she found a lost kid, and that there was a police officer outside, and she needed something that she couldn't find, and so I knew where it was. So I'm about to go find out what the heck's going on in my living room, but we'll see.
Okay, that sounds like a lot more important than what I'm going to do. But let's close down the
I'm gonna
show.
go take a
Always
bike
closing
ride.
thoughts, guys. What do you guys got to say? Close out the show. Caleb, closing
Dad's
thoughts.
rock. Oh,
Trevor says Dad's rock.
Trevor, go ahead. Dad's rock.
Caleb?
Dad's rock.
You
Well, I
just
gotta
said Dad's
give my
Mom's
I
rock
gotta
too.
give my recommendation this week.
That's true.
Uh,
Oh, dude, recommend whatever we were watching on Netflix yesterday, because that was a fantastic series of nature stuff that I haven't seen.
It was so good that Paul doesn't even remember the
I
name.
think it's called. I
didn't-
think it's
it-
called Night on Earth.
Oh, I saw
And
that.
It was awesome.
I will give that recommendation. It's called Night on Earth, and so I don't know if they invented it for the show or if this is the first I've seen it, but they really stress the technology that they use for the nighttime cameras. And they like show like a regular camera and it's just completely black. And then they have like the heat cameras, right? But then they have this new technology that like basically they take the heat mapping and then it like, I don't know if it's digital, like, but I'm gonna say it like rebuilds what it would look like during the day. So it looks like it's just like a very light dusk, like the sun's just going down, but you can see everything. Like you can almost see like color and shit too. Like it's really wild. And we saw a leopard. Wait, I think it was an ocelot.
What was it? Ocelot. That's what it was.
Ocelot. And it jumped. It was like climbed a tree and then jumped down and like grabbed this bird that was perching and then like was hanging from the tree branch by its back leg. Dude, it was wild. Definitely would recommend.
Yeah, it was
that
nuts.
show.
Damn nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn nature, indeed.
You
Thank you
wild.
all so much for joining us here. This has been the Chat Pack Podcast, where each week you can catch us at twitch.tv/chat_pack for the live recorded version of the podcast. But it is released every Monday on your Spotify streaming thing of choice. It's not just Spotify, but it does release on Spotify. Also, you can
iTunes,
follow along
Apple
with us
Music.
on Twitter and Instagram, Chat Pack Live. There, you can stay up to date with that. Trevor does the Twitter. I usually do some stuff on the Instagram, and
I'm a bum.
Yeah, maybe I keep popping around with some stuff on some things, and then Caleb and I are going to work on some stuff. But for now, we're going to go off to enjoy the rest of our Sundays. Enjoy the Sundays with your fathers, or enjoy
Trevor's
your
gonna
Sunday
go find a
with whatever
home for a
you're
lost
doing.
child.
Yeah, he's going to go figure out that.
Keep him away from that police
I don't
officer,
mind-
man. He
I
might
don't
send him
mind
over to ICE or
sunglasses.
something.
Yeah,
I don't trust
We'll have to see.
All right, until next week, catch you on the Flippity Flip.